And who am I? That's not a secret I'll never tell. You know you love me. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
What's up? Today we got Gossip Girl Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot. Really interesting to react to this show. As a current watcher of the 5th season, me currently watching the 5th season of the show basically made me realize that, this was supposed to be a recap-based show, but then I realized that that'd be too long. So, that'd be too long of a script to read. So I decided to shorten it to an episode recap. So, yeah. I don't know how this is gonna go. As a newly introduced fan of this show, as with the Thundermans, I've always been a fan, but with Gossip Girl, I just started watching it like months ago. So, as a new fan. So, yeah. This episode starts off on the Upper East Side in Manhattan. Serena arrives at the Grand Central Station as Gossip Girl narrates her arrival, knowing that she's been gone for a year to attend boarding school. Dan and his sister Jenny arrive at the station after visiting their mother Allison for the weekend in Hudson. They meet their dad Rufus, and it's revealed that his and Allison's marriage is on a sabbatical. Meanwhile, Gossip Girl sends out a blast informing everyone of Serena's return, including Serena's best friend Blair, and the same evening a party is hosted at the Waldorf penthouse by Blair's mom Eleanor. Attendants include Blair's boyfriend Nate, Nate's best friend and classmate, and the best character on the show, Chuck Bass, who, again, originally was absolutely dislikable. I could not stand Chuck Bass in this first season. But again, over time, like in season 2 onwards, he becomes the best character on the show. He still does some bad stuff that is obviously, but I still love Chuck Bass. So yeah, no hate against him in later seasons. In this season, I absolutely cannot stand Chuck Bass, and he is a terrible person. But in later seasons, I absolutely love him. They gave him so much good character development that made him go from a hateable jerk to a lovable dude. Yeah, who knew? Chuck Bass. I'd actually feel bad for Chuck Bass and end up loving Chuck Bass over the course of the season and not wanting anyone to reduce Chuck Bass back to who he was in season 1. Because I love Chuck Bass so much. But anyway, Chuck Bass is the best. In later seasons. Again, here in season 1, he's literally just a jerk. And Serena's mom, Lily. Upon hearing that Serena's return, Blair attempts to sleep with her boyfriend Nate for the first time. However, they are interrupted by Eleanor, who tells them that Serena's at the party. Meanwhile, Serena runs into Lily and asks where her brother Eric is, but Lily refuses to share. Blair greets Serena and asks her to stay for dinner, but Serena says she has to leave. After she leaves, it's true that Eric is in a mental institute hospital after attempting suicide, and Serena spends the night with him. Again. Next morning, Serena discovers that Lily's been lying to everyone about where Eric is, claiming that she's with her sister, Carol Rowe, in Florida. The only way I know about Carol, I don't trust her. But we'll get to that. We'll get to how Carol hired an actress to pretend to be her daughter. We'll get to that. And if you haven't seen that, then that's a spoiler. But still, we'll get to that. We'll get to how much I don't like Carol Rhodes and think she's a sketchy, lying manipulator. But still, right now, but then when this came out, we had no idea about that and didn't even know who Carol Rhodes was. When I mentioned her, I totally forgot about this and thought Carol Rhodes died. But then they realized she was alive in season 4. I totally forgot about this. Then Serena goes to the hospital to visit her brother, Eric, spending the night on the chair next to his bed. In the morning, Eric wakes up with his sister and the two embrace. As Serena apologizes for not being there for him, Lily arrives and is quickly confronted by Serena. It's revealed that Eric's stay in the hospital is related to a suicide attempt, and Serena is furious when Lily explains that she's been hiding Eric's condition, using the excuse that he's in Miami with Carol in order to protect her reputation. Because as we learn, Lily is a terrible person. They try to make you like her sometimes, but then other times you're like, wow, this woman is very sketchy. This moment where I'm like, yeah, she's very sketchy. Protecting her reputation, terrible, sketchy person. She has some other bad stuff later on the seasons, which I'll get to, or you've already seen, if you've seen the show, her trying to do all this bad stuff. Lily rebukes Serena, indirectly implying that she does not believe she has changed while she was at boarding school, and that she's still tainted by her former party girl image, wild child image. Meanwhile, at the Humphreys, Rufus tells Dan and Jenny about his former band, Lincoln Hawk, and how the fame they achieved in the 90s. Jenny finishes her calligraphy for the notorious kiss on the lips invitations and explains that she traded her art school for an invitation to the party itself, which is an exclusive and popular event. At the palace, Nate is seen waiting for Serena to arrive. It's revealed that Serena's family are currently staying at the hotel while their apartment is being renovated. Which we don't consider apartment until season 2, I don't think. But still, he tries to bring the conversation about why Serena was upset last night, but she quickly changes the subject and says she has to get ready for school. When he continues to follow her, she explains that she never came back for him. She thinks that Blair is her best friend and that Nate is Blair's boyfriend, and that's how things are supposed to be. She walks away, leaving a hurt-looking Nate alone. Dan is seen rushing through traffic to catch his bus to school. It's shown that Chuck and Nate are two of Dan's classmates at Constant St. Jude School for Boys, and are also on the bus. Chuck literally comments on Serena's appearance being an awful person, because that's how Chuck was back in season 1. He was awful, and literally comments vulgarly on Serena's appearance, because that's who he was back in season 1. He didn't have Blair, he just had his father. He didn't have Blair, who currently loves him but back then he only had his dad as the person. And of course, Bart Bass does not care about Chuck. So Chuck really used this as a way, and his mom. In this episode, they say she's alive, but this later gets retconned in later episodes by saying she's dead, but then she's not dead. She was actually faking her death. It's kind of weird but this episode, they say she's definitely alive. But then in later episodes, this is retconned, even in season 2, by saying that she died when he was a baby, but then it's revealed that she wasn't dead. But still weird that this is the only episode that confirms she's alive, when other episodes say that she died when Chuck was a baby. So Chuck and Nate's conversation about him stealing medicine from his mom is very odd, because we never see Chuck's mom until season 3. But I'm currently working on the scripts for season 3. Just finished the script for season 2. So, anyway. Just weird how everything just weird how. Yeah. Chuck vulgarly comments on Serena's appearance the night before in season 8 for not having slept with Blair yet, even though they've practically been dating since kindergarten. As they arrive at school, Chuck notices Dan behind him and rudely questions whether he's following them. Dan replies sarcastically, saying that they go to the same school and was wearing the same uniform, which should be kind of a tip-off. Because again, Chuck, terrible person. Before school begins, Jenny is shown hand delivering the invitation to the kiss on the lips party to Blair and her minions, Caddy and Iz. Yeah, Blair has on the steps of the mat. Serena introduces herself to Jenny and inquiring about the invites. Blair dismissively tells Serena that she's only arrived in the city like 12 hours beforehand and she's not invited due to lack of space. As they go their separate ways, Serena asks Blair if they can meet at the palace at 8 p.m. and Blair says she's a date with Nate, but Serena insists she will wait. And Gospel narrates about how teaming narrates the scene as terming it as an S&B power struggle. After school, Dan is seen helping Rufus post flyers for his band concert tonight when he gets an emergency text from Jenny. Rufus, clearly preoccupied with the thought of his estranged wife, distractedly tells Dan that he can go and tells him to join him again later. Dan rushes to Jenny's aid, and it turns out that she's trying on dresses for the kiss on the lips party, hoping to find the perfect outfit that she can replicate by sewing it herself when she gets home, because since she can't afford to buy the real thing. Dan is disgruntled at first, but supports his sister. Suddenly, Jenny spots Serena, who has snuck her brother Eric out of the hospital, and gotta say, don't know what Chris Paul was thinking, but blonde look did not look good on him. By episode 9 of this season, it shows that he's more having a brownish, blondish look before fully forming into the brown look in later seasons that I know and love. But that I know and love for Eric's hairstyle. But it's just so weird that the actor chose to be a blonde. But I guess maybe his hair was always blonde, then he started to grow up, and his hair started to change color, just like mine. Mine used to be blonde too. But the fact is, looking back, I can always cringe at how Eric thought blonde was a good idea. But anyway, I just don't get it. Just don't get it, Eric. Just don't get why blonde. Over time, Eric's hair does change from blonde to blondish brown to just brown, and he keeps it that way for the rest of the series. For the rest of the series. Yeah. Jenny reaches for her bag to give Serena an extra party invite she made after the scene with Blair. Meanwhile, Dan hides behind the racks of the clothes in order to avoid Serena and eventually creeps away. In Central Park, Dan and Chuck take a stroll with opening up a shared joint. Nate shares his feelings about living a life that seems planned out for him by his parents. Chuck advises him to simply just get high and sleep with Blair. But Blair and Serena attend their scheduled meetup and are seen drinking, which again confuses me because these characters are 16? They should not be able to drink. But I guess because the show's about privileged rich kids who do whatever they want. But the fact that the writers didn't realize that these characters are probably 20-year-olds playing 16-year-olds, so it's kind of weird that they're always drinking in every scene. Okay, later on the show they don't drink anymore, but they start it's okay when they're 20 and 19 for them to drink, but right now they're playing 14. They're playing 16 to 17-year-olds, 15 to 16 to 17-year-olds. It's not okay show. Serena asks how Blair's mom is handling the divorce, and Blair just goes that her father actually left her for a man. Blair is resentful that Serena didn't tell her why she went to boarding school in the first place, and is angry that her supposed best friend had not been there for her. Serena acknowledges that Blair's the new queen bee at school, and that she's not interested in seeing that role from her. Eventually, the tension fades away, and the two exchange a warm hug as they agree to begin again with their friendship. However, when Blair leaves for a date with Nate, Serena is drinking with the rest of Blair's drink, prompting Gossip Girl to narrate that Serena may be hiding something. At the Humphrey house, at the Dan's residence, Jenny chats with Dan while sewing her dress for the party. The pair talk about Dan's crush on Serena, which Dan saying that his unglamorous life in Brooklyn would never be interesting enough for Serena to care about. Jane counters by telling him that Serena is probably at the Palace Hotel all alone. This image forces Dan to go and visit Serena. However, before he arrives, Chuck approaches Serena before he arrives. Chuck approaches Serena at the bar of the hotel and begins to flirt with her. Again, this is unlikable jerk. Stay away from her, Chuck. Not loving. I want him and Blair to be together forever, Chuck. That's season 2 to 6, Chuck. This is stay away from her, you creep. Stay away from Serena, you creep, Chuck. And Jay. Yeah. Serena says she's not in the mood, claiming that she's been drinking on an empty stomach. So Chuck offers her a grilled cheese from the kitchen as he sets his parents out in the hotel. Again, he says parents, not dad. Again, this episode is the only episode to have Chuck's mom be relevant until season 3. Until season 3, she is not relevant. So yeah, she supposedly died off. She's supposedly in this episode alive, but then other episodes said she died before the start of the show, but that was fake. But still, anyway, just saying that this show is weird in its timeline consistency. They first say something about Chuck's mom, but then say she's dead. Oh no, she's not dead, but she's not really Chuck's mom, but oh she is. It's so weird, so weird. We'll get to all of that when we get to it, but the weird thing about this episode is that they probably didn't know that they'd do this storyline of Chuck. They probably didn't know that Chuck's mom would be a whole storyline for him. So saying that she's alive, but then later contradicting himself by saying that she died before when Chuck was a baby, before Chuck was born, but I thought it was that she died when he was 6. It's very weird. It's very confusing. I'm still confused about that. Meanwhile, Nate enters his bedroom to find Blair already waiting for him in sexy lingerie. She decorates the room romantically as she's expecting sleeping with Nate for the first time. Blair but he doesn't kiss her back. It's quickly revealed that he feels guilty about the events of the notorious Shepherd wedding, as he explains to our heartbroken Blair, that he slept with Serena at an empty bar during the wedding. Blair is obviously heartbroken and tells Nate to get out. Back in the hotel kitchen, Chuck tries to give the kitchen staff Nate off as he makes an advance towards Serena. Again, this was stay away from her, Chuck. You get to date Blair in future seasons. Stay away from Serena, Chuck. Just do it. This is not worthy. This is not good for you. And Chuck tells Serena Serena says that she tells him it's not going to happen. In response, Chuck tells Serena that he knows what she did at the Shepherd wedding and knows why she left town. A flashback shows a drunken Serena dancing on the top of the bar with Nate laughing with her and cracks open a bottle of champagne. They begin to kiss and eventually end up sleeping together, all which is witnessed by Chuck. The flashback ends with Chuck cornering Serena in the kitchen and attempts to start kissing again, but she fights him off, and on her way out, she bumps into Nate, and her purse is knocked on the ground. Nate apologizes and helps her, but she ignores him and carries on her way out. Dan notices she left her cell phone behind, but by the time he picks up, Serena has hastily left. The next morning, Nate and his dad are running together. Nate and his dad, the captain, which he's only called the captain. We all know why they don't call him Harold. He's just called the captain. What is he the captain of? What is he the captain of? Nate tells him that he had a big fight, but they're practically broken up. Nate's dad disapproves of this and wants them to get back together, mostly because it would help him advance his relations and build sincere with Blair's mom. Although Nate seems to feel the split Blair is not entirely a bad thing, his father begins to put pressure on him to repair the relationship, to repair the damage in order to cement his business dealings and tells him that the family is depending on him. At the Palace Hotel, Dan tries to return Serena's cell phone, but the concierge is suspicious and calls Serena over to ask if she understands it. Dan is mortified until Serena states that she doesn't recognize him from the previous night, which he's rather surprised about. Suddenly, Lily interrupts the pair as she's doing Serena address the wear to the kiss on the lips party. However, the tension of Blair and Chuck's relation, Serena decides she no longer wants to go. She makes an excuse that she has plans with her boyfriend, with her new friend Dan, to stay Lincoln House concert that evening. Instead, when Serena and mother leave, Dan walks away, but his surprise, Serena takes him up in the after the concert and asks him to pick her up. Later on, Nate and Blair are eating sushi together at a restaurant. Nate has arranged a meetup and apologizes to Blair. He promises to never trust Serena again. He promises that he'll never talk to Serena again, saying it's like Serena doesn't exist. And Blair startlingly quick to forgive Nate, saying the past is the past, and she trusts that he has no longer feelings for Serena. Meanwhile, Rufus is art gallery. Lily questions him on why her daughter is scored a date. Why her daughter is going to one of Rufus's band's concert with his son. Rufus is surprised that Dan scored a date with Serena, leading Lily to accuse Rufus of using the end to get her back, to get to her because of the breakdown of his marriage. Rufus is flirty, comparing Lily to how she was back in the old days, and appears the two knew each other beforehand, as Rufus states that Lily moved on from rock star to billionaire to sustain her luxurious lifestyle. Lily then tells Rufus to stay out of her life and leaves. Back at the Humphrey residence, Jenny is getting ready for the kids' on the lips party. Dan is getting ready for the night of Serena. Jenny is proud of both of them as she who said their family isn't cool. Wait. At the Waldorf penthouse, Blair is getting ready for the party by trying on dresses in front of a mirror. Her mom gives her some advice about her appearance. Even though her mom is played by a completely different actress that would get recast in episode 4, and then that recast actress would stay on for the rest of the series. It's just weird that Blair's mom is just played by some random woman that is not the main actress that plays her for the rest of the series. It's just like the two Helens. This is the two Eleanors. And this actress played her in one role, but then they would recast her with another actress that would play her for the rest of the series. And I will mention that when we get to episode 4. Her mom gives her some advice about appearance and is as loving as she is critical. On the way to the party, Blair, Nate, and Chuck and their friends seem partying, drinking, and smoking. Again, how are they drinking? They're underage. How are they smoking? They're also underage. How are they also doing champagne? They're also underage. Dan, meanwhile, arrives at the palace to pick up Serena, and once again, glimpses of her above from him on the balcony, looking beautiful. Once everyone arrives at the Kiss the List party, Chuck notices newbie Jenny. And Chuck sets his sights on seducing her. Because again, this is get away from her, Chuck, not I love Chuck. This is creepy Chuck, not love Chuck. So yeah. Dan and Serena are shown walking in to to the concert when Dan spots his dad and introduces him to Serena. She asks questions to Dan about why he introduced his dad to her on the first date, as which he points to her that their night out together is indeed a real date. At the party, Chuck notices Jenny in a private stairway and under the guise of wanting to get to know her better and quiet space. But as they ascend the stairs, Chuck tries to kiss her, and Jenny is reluctant, so Chuck apologizes and they can start over. He offers her a glass of champagne, she agrees, but she texts Dan asking for his help, but she doesn't feel safe when Chuck refuses to go back to the party with her. Dan and Serena leave the concert, at which point he receives a text from Jenny. Serena, aware of the seriousness of Chuck's predator vibes, predarization, that I call it predator vibes, offers to help them find her. And they enter the Kiss and List party with her friend Jenny, but Blair is furious that Serena will crash her party before she kick her out, and he tries to convince her not to. Blair and Serena exchange eye contact across the dance floor in a way that seems to set Serena that Blair finally knows about what she did to Nate. Eventually, Dan and Serena search upstairs where they find Chuck forcefully attempting to kiss Jenny as she is pinned down by him and begging him to stop. Dan, in a rage, punches Chuck and warns him, and Serena warns Chuck never to touch Jenny again. As they leave, Chuck threatens Serena and saying, "Bro, it's a party. You always do weird stuff at a party." And reminding her, and he also calls her the S word, reminding her that he knows everything. After they leave, Dan holds his sister's hand, and Serena grabs Dan's as the guests look in amazement. He acquires a second date with Serena, and the episode ends with Dan, Serena, and Jenny heading home in a car, while Blair and Chuck watch in an expression of anger and disgust. So yeah, first episode of Gossip Girl. Wow. And a 26-minute episode, a 24-minute episode was able to turn into a 26-minute review. But anyway, that was an intro. Unless I don't think I missed anything. But yeah, really good episode. Again, as I kept saying in the review, it's so weird to see what Chuck was like back then. Literally, right now, he's a guy that will, in season 5, he's a guy that literally will respect Blair's wishes, wanting her to be with anyone else, but still in love with her. Dan is in current season 5. Dan is an author, while Serena is trying to get her cousin / sister Lola to be the new It Girl, while Serena is pretending to be Gossip Girl. Nate in season 5 is currently running the Spectator while dealing with having his job taken from him from his old boss and former lover Diane Payne. And Jenny, she's gone from the show. Yeah. Season 4, Jenny left. Yeah. Something about Taylor Momsen's behavior and them not liking her and feeling like, yeah, she left the show. So, yeah. Chuck is a good guy. Blair is no longer a B-word. Nate's now a business mogul. Serena's Gossip Girl, trying to be Gossip Girl after trying to be the new Gossip Girl. Dan's an author, and Dan's an author. And Blair used to be Blair is now dealing with her divorce while dating Dan. Who knew? Blair and Dan. Who knew that they'd be a good couple? But yeah, again, I wish we could have seen more of Louis, Blair's husband, before she divorced him. But he left the show for good, literally. So yeah, that's it but yeah, that's Gossip Girl, season 1, episode 1, the pilot. I'm excited to review more of this show. And yeah, hope you'll join me on this 6-season journey. 6-season journey. Hope you enjoy me on this 6-season journey. Unlike with the Thundermans, which I'm still going to continue doing, this show's only continuation is a reboot that wasn't very good, apparently, because they only had 2 seasons. Unlike Thundermans, which currently has a movie and a sequel series based on that movie, The only thing Gossip Girl has in continuations is a 2-season reboot that literally is just about the main characters. It's just about new characters. Well, the old characters like Georgina, Dorota, Eleanor, they all make cameos. And you even see pictures of like Dan, Serena. Someone gets mentioned for Chuck Bass and Nelly Yuki. Don't know what she's doing. Don't know why she was on this show to begin with. But in the reboot, we see her again. They wrote her off the original, but she's in the reboot. But anyway, that's it for this video. And I'll see you next time for more Gossip Girl. Yeah, you know you love me. XOXO, Gossip Girl. See ya next time. XOXO, you know you love me. XOXO, Gossip Girl. Christian Bell does a really good job with Gossip Girl, but still, XOXO, Gossip Girl.